What started as a case focused solely on Diddy is now expanding in unexpected ways. Names like Beyoncé and Jay-Z are surfacing, and not in a positive light. With rumors swirling, alleged recordings leaking, and federal investigators closing in, this situation feels more like a real-life crime drama than just another celebrity scandal.
Tonight, the brave Diddy insiders finally able to tell all.
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
As the Diddy investigation gained momentum, it quickly turned into something much bigger. Testimonies began to emerge, secret tapes appeared, and court documents revealed layers of involvement far beyond just one person. Prosecutors may soon call on individuals closely connected to Diddy, people who may have witnessed more than they should have. Among the names being quietly mentioned the most, Jay-Z and Beyoncé.
3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
What do you think happened with Kim Ford?
Keeping people against their will. Putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names.
Aaliyah's name keeps coming up throughout this case, and not without reason. Her story remains one of the most talked about in music history, and new interest is shining a light on long-standing questions.
What's the problem with Rock Nation and Jay-Z now? Or what's
They're murderers and elaborate setup kings. I ain't simple like his wife, and neither was Aaliyah. I guess that's why he had her killed. You killed that young woman. Who the fuck else would have known better how to have someone posing as Dame Dash's personal assistant call Aaliyah so strategically and tell her she needed to rush to the hospital in Miami because Dame was on his deathbed. Dame wasn't nowhere near Miami, and he ain't had no assistant call Aaliyah. Who the fuck else would have known that other than his closest ally, his best fucking friend, the nigga that was fucking her before him? Wow. Prove me wrong, sue me or kill me. These motherfuckers been killing people for years. Not long after that, Diddy and Jay-Z been running around acting like they run LA.
Aaliyah was only 22 when she died in a plane crash after filming a music video in the Bahamas. The loss was devastating, but even then questions lingered. Why did the crash happen so suddenly after takeoff? Was she in any condition to board the plane? Over the years, suspicions have continued to grow about whether the full truth was ever revealed.
Was sitting in a taxi as her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep and may not have even been aware that she was on the airplane. Now, we should say we don't know what that pill was. It could have been aspirin. Maybe she was just very tired from a long video shoot. And the baggage handler did say that she took it willingly. But it does reveal some new information about those final moments.
After the crash, investigators determined the small plane was carrying about 700 pounds over its limit. And this is important. The center of gravity was too far back in the aircraft.
The pilot did not want to make this trip. And he reportedly argued with Aaliyah's team because he thought that it was unsafe. So he did make those calculations, and he did decide that it was unsafe. However, after protracted negotiation, they went through with that flight. Now, we did also learn some new things about this pilot. According to autopsy results, he had both alcohol and cocaine in his system.
The pilot
did.
Whoa.
He was not the authorized pilot for that.
Artist Jagar Wright later came forward with shocking claims, offering new details about who may have been involved in the events leading up to Aaliyah's final flight. Her account added fuel to a fire that had never really gone out.
That takes me to when you speak on Aaliyah, people really was honed in when you spoke on Dame Dash, Aaliyah, and you're speaking on something where you're saying, I wish that situation would be investigated further.
No, to be investigated. Period. It was never investigated. Hype was never questioned. Lenny Kravitz made a statement, and it was never publicized. She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane. There were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs. Why would you need to sign a non-disclosure agreement about a plane crash and what happened leading up to it? Please, someone answer that.
Do you feel like
why the fuck would you need to sign? A nigga don't ask about a plane crash if it was accidental.
Do you feel like...
Riddle me that. Work with me here in this moment.
And I'm going to ask you.
A plane crash should be accidental.
Should be.
Why would any testimony about what happened leading up to it need to be covered under a non-disclosure agreement if there wasn't foul play? There are people who did short sales on their stocks right after that, made a lot of fucking money, including Sean Carter. Now I'm going to ask you, why would non-disclosure agreements need to be signed for an accident?
Okay.
There were over 25 non-disclosure agreements cashed out and recorded regarding the death of that beautiful girl and every other human being that died on that plane with her. What the fuck? Would you need a don't ask for that? And Diddy had Hype Williams the balls. Belly was a money pit.
Question?
And Jay-Z got 10 free videos out of Williams. And Hype didn't work for free.
Recently, Aaliyah's uncle Barry Hankerson broke his silence, reigniting public interest in what really happened. As someone deeply involved in her career, his words are drawing serious attention.
If you could go back and change anything, what would you do differently? How would you protect Aaliyah?
Oh, God. That's a good, ugly question, because there's so many things and so many nights that I've stayed awake wondering if I had made a plan different, or if I had been there to the video shoot myself.
Despite facing industry pressure, Aaliyah rose to success and was widely admired. But after the crash, new reports surfaced suggesting she may not have willingly boarded the plane. One account said she was given a pill and had to be carried onto the aircraft, raising serious concerns about how the situation was handled.
What's the deal with you and R. Kelly? Are you all married or not? No, I'm not married. Robert's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. He's a great producer, great artist who I do admire, and there's nothing there.
When he did the record with Jay, that's why I was that was almost like one of the things where I was just like, he's out of here, Jay. I just let it go because I couldn't believe he did a project with her. With R. Kelly, knowing that he had my my girl.
What are prosecutors saying that he did to Aaliyah?
Yeah, the reason Aaliyah is part of this case is because prosecutors say she is one of the victims in a decades-long criminal enterprise led by R. Kelly, essentially for the purpose of sexually abusing underage girls. Now, during this trial, one of R. Kelly's former tour managers testified that he is the one who personally bribed a government official to get a fake ID for Aaliyah, saying that she was 18 years old when she was really 15. Why did he do that? Because R. Kelly reportedly wanted to marry her. That's what this man testified. And he said that R. Kelly wanted to marry her because he had gotten Aaliyah pregnant. And he wanted to be able to legally authorize an abortion for her as a minor at just 15 years old. And he also wanted to protect himself from prosecution.
It's reprehensible.
It's awful.
I understood the getting married part. I didn't realize there was a potential baby.
Investigators later confirmed the small plane was dangerously overloaded, about 700 pounds over the limit. Even worse, most of that weight was in the back, making the aircraft unstable. A book later revealed that the pilot had expressed concerns, warning Aaliyah's team that the flight wasn't safe. He reportedly resisted, but was ultimately pressured to go through with it.
What have you uncovered about that allegation?
Yeah, the new book, Baby Girl, reveals some new details about the final moments before that tragic accident. And according to the author, Aaliyah was sitting in a taxi as her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after, she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep and may not have even been aware that she was on the airplane.
Autopsy results added more alarming details. The pilot had alcohol and other substances in his system, and he wasn't certified to fly that type of aircraft. He had only recently joined the airline. These red flags raise even more questions about why the flight was allowed to happen. Aaliyah's uncle, Barry Hankerson, who founded Blackground Records to support her early on, shared his memories in an exclusive interview.
The pilot must have been doing some of these calculations. Why would he risk his own life? And what do we know about him?
Yeah, according to the book, the pilot did not want to make this trip. And he reportedly argued with Aaliyah's team because he thought that it was unsafe. So he did make those calculations and he did decide that it was unsafe. However, after protracted negotiation, they went through with that flight. Now, we did also learn some new things about this pilot. According to autopsy results, he had both alcohol and cocaine in his system.
The pilot
did.
Whoa.
He was not the authorized pilot for that plane, and he had just joined that company a few days prior to that flight, so he was very new with that company.
Barry admitted he didn't want Hype Williams to direct the video that led to the trip, but Aaliyah's mother strongly supported it. Looking back, he says he regrets giving in. In his view, that decision may have contributed to the tragic chain of events.
What is it that made your niece, Aaliyah, such a superstar, a one in a million find?
Oh my God, that is so difficult to answer. She had, from a little girl, she had a way that she just did things slightly different. She would view a movie slightly different. She would dress slightly different. And it was just her peers and her friends and her family were just always in awe of whatever she did. She would just come out and start singing one of her favorite songs, My Funny Valentine. And in fact, she did that on a show called Star Search.
Yep.
And she just was so special. We knew how special she was until she started talking about singing. I don't think any of us knew where she was headed until she actually started singing all the time and wanting to perform. And because of my profession, you know, it just happened to be, hey, why don't we see what we can do?
About a year and a half ago, you had a stroke.
Yes.
Could have been devastating. It's pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
How did that brush with death impact how you now view the passing of Aaliyah?
Oh. Well, it kind of made me feel closer to her, to be honest with you, because when I had the stroke, it was so out of the blue and so sudden. For about an hour, I didn't know where I was. Mm-hmm. I was in some dark place, but I could feel the presence of other people. Mm-hmm. And I believed the other person was my mom. And she spoke to me and told me to get out of here and go back. And I said, "Ma, is that you? I can't see you." And she said, "You're not supposed to. You see me when you come back." And then I looked up and I began to gather myself and realize something happened to me, but I didn't know what it was.
So you had a near-death experience. How did that color what you think Aaliyah went through as that plane was crashing a minute after takeoff?
Oh God. Believe it or not, I was thinking about her music. I was thinking about, because I worked on it every day, very obsessively. So I felt like she was with my mom.
So does it make you more comfortable that Aaliyah might be there with your mom, or did you feel worse that she had to go through this as well 20 years ago?
No, I'm sure Aaliyah and my mom are in the same place. Yeah. After that experience, it's no question in my mind.
Where were you when you found out about the plane crash?
I was on my farm in Georgia, and got a call, and somebody says, "You got a long distance call. It's from the video shoot," because I knew that they were shooting a video, obviously. And I ran to the phone, and I spoke to the director, Hype Williams, and he said, "Aaliyah's gone." And I was devastated. I immediately called Minister Farrakhan and asked him, could he call God? Could he talk to God?
The interview took an emotional turn when Barry was asked how he felt after learning that R. Kelly had illegally married Aaliyah in secret. His reaction revealed the pain and regret that still linger after all these years.